Hi all, this is Emma from Plan, Inspire, Create, and today I'm going to be talking about the review stage of the Getting Things Done method. This is the fifth in a series on the Getting Things Done method, which is a framework for kind of organising and tracking all the things that you've made a commitment to in your life and keeping things on track. I've been doing this series throughout the month of February. If you're following this series, you will have noticed that I had to take a short break because I was actually unwell in hospital, so I apologise for that. But I'm now back with the final video in the series. So during this series, you've seen me go through each of the steps, capturing all the things that I have to do, clarifying them, which is making decisions on what type of activity is needed for each one, then organising that information into different systems so that I can definitely keep on top of those tasks and make sure that I'm making progress towards my goals. And now we're at that fourth stage, which is review. The review stage is really about making sure that your systems are up to date so that they actually remain efficient and usable in your everyday life. There's no point doing all those other stages and then things get out of date and it's not actually functional to help you work towards your goals. So the suggestion is to do a weekly review where you reflect on your system, and there is a 3-stage process for this that the author David Allen recommends, which is to get clear, get current and get creative. And I'll talk through what each of those mean and how I do my weekly review so you can see an example. So this is my review checklist that I use on a weekly basis. And it's got the 3 sections of get clear, get current and get creative. And I just have a little reflection section on the beginning. The point of your review is to spend some time recapturing things, re-evaluating and reprocessing to make sure that your systems are completely current and up to date. So the first thing I do is I have a little reflection on the last week. I just grab a separate notebook and I use this while I'm doing my reviews, and it just means that I can have my planner at the one side of me and my notebook at the other, and I can kind of compare across. So the first thing I ask myself is what went well. So I open my planner usually to this week and I have just as a kind of prompt of the things that I was doing this week, and I have a think about that. So for me, what went well this week is that I took the time I needed to recover. And that's probably as short as this week's going to be. Some weeks is longer than others, some weeks is shorter than others. This week I was kind of out of action because I was unwell, and so that's really the only thing that I've achieved. It's a big thing, it's an important thing, making sure that I'm looking after myself and I'm able to now go back to doing the things I want to do and need to do. But yeah, that was kind of my sole purpose this week. And then what didn't go well is I had to push back some content and some shop things, so I didn't get the things done that I would have liked to have done. And then what have I learned? It's important to listen to my body and reprioritize. And then the last thing I do in this section is I set new goals for the week. So the last time I actually set weekly goals, I was doing the photography for my shop and the countdown for social media. Those were the main things that I wanted to get achieved and were going to be my primary focus. Obviously, they came to a bit of a halt because of not feeling well, and so I'm going to kind of reinstate those. Those are still a current priority for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write them at the top of this next week in my planner. Shop goals. And I'm going to put photography. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. That's my one main goal. Okay, so the next stage is get clear. And the idea of getting clear is to gather all the loose ends from your week, all the kind of physical materials, digital materials that have accumulated, all the thoughts you might not have captured and written down. And so that way you can get everything out of your head and it's captured in one place. So kind of similar to the initial capture stage that we did. So the first step is to gather any physical papers and items. I've had a check for these and I don't have any. I had some discharge paperwork from hospital, but I'd already filed that away as soon as I got home. So there's nothing else in there. Then I check my email inboxes for any tasks that might need to be done, anything that's outstanding. So I'm going to have a quick check of that now and write down any tasks that need to be sorted. And I'm actually going to write them straight onto my next actions list. If there's any little jobs that take less than 2 minutes, I just do them as I'm going through. So I've got an email here that I need to chase. I'm waiting for something, so I'm just going to quickly do that now. Okay, so I've done my email inboxes. Then I have a little notes app on my phone where I write things down. So I empty that and make sure everything is in the right place. So I have a couple of to-dos that I wrote in here because I didn't have my planner with me when I thought of them. Okay. And then I do a brain dump of anything else I can think of. So I get that trigger list that I use in the capture stage. And that lives in my getting things done section. And I go down here and I see if there's anything else that I can think of. Okay, so that's captured another couple of things that I've added to my next actions list. And now we're on to the stage of get current. So what this involves is reviewing the kind of pages and lists that you have as part of your system, however your system's set up, and I'll show you mine, and checking that they're up to date. So have you checked off things you've already dealt with? And is there anything else you need to add? So the first thing I do is look at my monthly, weekly and daily pages and see if it prompts anything else. So the first thing I'll do is go to my month. So looking at February in my planner, there's some things in here that didn't end up getting done because I was unwell, and so they need rescheduling. So I need to reschedule my podcast recording. And I need to write a blog post, because those are my next two things. And I need to reschedule my shop launch. So that's something that needs to go in my calendar. So it's either going to be the 12th or the 19th. Okay, and then I've got my February to-dos and goals, so I'll have a read through these and again see if everything was completed or if it's something that needs to be carried forward to the next week or the next month. Done that, done that. Okay, so there's a few tasks that I wrote down to get done in February that have had to be carried forward. So I've added them onto my March list. And then in terms of the goals, I've got pretty much all of them done. So using my health planner, listening to my body through IVF, the shop relaunch has obviously been carried forward. This Getting Things Done series, got the new sofa, and making sure I take breaks and looking after myself. So we did those. So I've reviewed my monthly pages. Then I'm going to go to the current week. I'm actually going to flick back through the last couple just to make sure everything's been captured over the time that I've not been well. And that's prompted me that I need to carry on creating my product samples. And then daily pages I haven't been using, so I don't need to go through those, but that's ordinarily what I would do. Then the next thing I do is I review my calendar entries for the next 4 weeks and see what's coming up and see if I need to prepare anything for those events. So this I will look in my Google Calendar because that's kind of where I keep my master calendar. I'm going to write some things on this week as I'm going through. Okay. And I need to think about a birthday present. I've got a birthday coming up in March. Husband's birthday. So next what I do is I review and update my next actions list. So that's the one I've been adding to. So I check off anything that I've already done that's finished with, which I did check off in box 0 earlier when I flicked the page. The rest of these are still ongoing. And I've been adding to this as I've been going. So that is currently up to date. Now, there's one thing I can add on there. Then I look at my waiting for list and I see if anything needs chasing and make sure this is up to date. So I added another refund onto here yesterday that I'm waiting for, so I know that that's up to date. Also still waiting for some leather samples, and when I was just going through my emails, I quickly fired off a chasing email for that because I haven't received them still. So I can make sure that these are being followed up and that they don't get lost. Next, I review and update my project list. So this is the list of things that takes more than one step. So it's up to date. There's none of these that I've finished. I need to make sure that each of these has got a next action on my next actions list. And I'm happy that they do. So that means these projects are going to be taking steps forward to being done if they're actually captured and I'm thinking about what the next feasible action is. And then I need to review and update any other checklists. So these might be individual project checklists. So I have some in my blog and Plan, Inspire, Create sections for particular projects. So product samples that I'm creating that is up to date. So kind of breaking down tasks into individual steps. Also where I am with my video production. So we can say we filmed this one and I've got lists of video ideas, lists of ideas, other tasks to do, and the same for the order space section. So I would go through, make sure everything was up to date. Yeah. So I know now that everything's current. And then the last step is to get creative. So this is your kind of bigger picture thinking, because you, in theory, have now eliminated any barriers to creative thinking because you're not trying to hold all these other things in your mind. And so you can think about bigger goals and ideas. So the first thing I do is review my someday maybe list, which I have in my Getting Things Done section, and this is projects that I don't want to commit to right now, I can't commit to right now. So there's two things on here: restoring my typewriter and creating the book plan. Now I know that I'm still working on the shop launch and that's a major project, so I don't have time to commit to anything else currently and add it onto my current projects. And then if I had any other ideas of things that I wanted to add to this list, this is when I would do that. Then the last thing I do is I review my goals and make sure I'm on track with them and think about any other steps I could take to actually work towards them. So these I keep in my health planner, in the front section, in my vision, and I have a read through my vision statements that I wrote in the 8 different areas of my life, and I kind of remind myself what it is that I'm working towards. Sorry if you can hear my dog barking in the background. Okay, so I'm happy that I'm on track with those and there's nothing else I really need to add into my lists or my systems to make sure I'm on track with those. So then I just pop this little review checklist back in my planner and I can use that ready for the next week. So I really hope you found that useful. As you can see, the review stage is really a kind of mini refresh of the other steps of kind of capturing, clarifying and organising and making sure everything stays on track so that it doesn't get out of control and then you have to do a big reset like we did at the beginning of this series. And so it just takes a little bit of time each week and then the system carries on functioning for you and means you can keep on top of things. So I really hope you like this series. Do let me know if you've tried it and how you're getting on with it. I'd love to know, and maybe we can swap tips on things that are working for different people. If you like the video, please like it and consider subscribing if you're not a subscriber already, and I will see you on Wednesday for another video. Bye!